Hey guys, Gina with YA Fiction Freaks. I know it's been a while, but I've been really busy with school ending and we just got back from a cruise, and so I've had kind of a busy spring and early summer. But I wanted to let you guys know that YA Fiction Freaks did go see Stephenie Meyer. We went with YA Fiction, or we went with Chapter Chicks, and we had a fun time, but we drove for Angie originally told me it was 5 hours, but it ended up being like 5.5, almost 6 hours. So we drove down there, stayed in a hotel that night, and then saw her the next day. And we all thought that it was going to be a real author signing where like you went in and you stayed in line for a while, and then you got line tickets, you sat down, she would talk, and you kind of get to ask questions, things like that. We knew that 2 actors from the Host movie was going to be there, the 2 main guys in the movie, and so we thought they would be a panel up there with her. Well, it wasn't anything like that. We drove 5-6 hours and we stood in line for a couple of hours, and then we got to whisk through. We did video, which turned out awful because there were people in the way. They were pushing us through really quickly. She signed like 1,000 signatures in a few hours, so it was crazy. But that's basically it. Like, our footage that wasn't any good anyway wasn't even a minute long. And it was Spencer, his girlfriend, me, Angie, and her daughter Hannah. 5 of us whisk through in less than a minute. And that was to get Stephenie to sign your book. 2 books she would sign. You actually had to buy The Host, the movie cover book, which was okay by me because I kind of like it. And these are the 2 guys we met. But I didn't want this one signed because it doesn't mean anything to me. So I bought that one, and then you got to pick 2 books. So this is my actual copy of The Host, which is actually, Spence had it in his book bag, and so it's really like tore up, the bindings broke, but this is the one that really meant something to me. So and this is how she did it. She did a number 2, like, to Gina, there's Stephenie Meyer. See, my bindings all broke. But this is the one that means something to me. So I got that one signed, and then I kept going back and forth with my white version of Twilight or my original version. And I thought, well, the white version doesn't really mean anything to me. It's just pretty. But my original Twilight book really does mean something. And it's not too bad a shape. If you guys have seen Jessie's all duct taped and really loved, but the bindings kind of broke and stuff, and it's well loved. But I wanted this one because this is the very first book that I bought at Borders and discovered Twilight. Didn't know anything about it. The movies weren't even talked about at the time. This and New Moon was out. New Moon had just come out when I discovered this. And I kept looking at it, and I loved the cover, but every time I'd see a vampire, I'd put it back down, because I don't really like vampire books. But I'm so glad I ended up on Borders seeing Stephenie Meyer talking about the books, and decided to read it, and loved it. So, and this one, on Twilight, she just signed her name. So, but you got to pick 2 books, so she signed them really quick, and she was really nice, and she looked really pretty. And then we whisked through, and then we got to see the 2 guys. They were kind of at a separate table, set up by themselves off to the side. There were 2 big, like, all these bookshelves that we had to, like, we were walking in between, and they were, like, kind of rushing everybody through. Well, then we kept looking at the back because it said The Host. There was a big poster, so we thought she was back there with the actors. Well, we come through the big bookshelves, and we're like, where is she, where is she? And she was like right there off to the right by the time, and then we saw her, and then they're like, okay, go. And we go, she signs them, then you go to the back, and you got to see the 2 guys, which they were really funny. They were goofing around and having fun, and we did get a little footage of them and a couple of pictures, and they were real cute. And you got a poster of The Host, which I don't even know where mine's at, but the 2 guys signed it. Stephenie wasn't signing that. Then we go in the back. They shoot you out the back door, and it was raining, and it was cold. We were kind of miserable, but we were goofing off, having fun with Chapter Chicks. So, and I filmed them coming through, and we had a lot of fun. And they almost missed it because they went into Chicago. We went to Chicago to see this, and they actually went into Chicago, and almost didn't make it back to the bookstore, so it was nuts. But we got that. Well, we stood out probably for about an hour or more out in the rain at the back door, hoping that if we told her we were bloggers that or bloggers and YouTubers, booktubers, that we would get a big group picture. That Chapter Chicks and Why Fiction Freaks could get a big group picture. And of course, you know, Jesse's like, well, you say it when she comes out. I'm like, oh, you want me to say it? What am I supposed to say? And the guard came out and actually asked us all to step back and be respectful of Stephenie. So they didn't even give us a chance to say anything. And here they had an umbrella for her, and here she came out, and she looked over. Angie was standing on the other side, and she looked over and smiled and waved at Angie. And we were like, didn't know what to say. She just winged through, and I think it was Jessie that said, Stephenie, will you take a picture with us? And she was like already in the car. So, and we got to see her whisk away in this car, this big kind of SUV thing with black windows, and you couldn't even see her. So I think Jessie and Stacy from Chapter Chicks said the same thing that I'm about to say. It was really nice, but I wouldn't do it again. I mean, I wouldn't drive all that way for just to be with her for 5 seconds and get a book signed, and that was it. So I mean, we did make it fun, and we had a lot of fun, but if she come to Cincinnati, that would be totally worth it. But if you had to drive 6 hours, it just wasn't worth it for just a signing, literally just a book signing. So, but we did have fun, and I am glad I got them signed. So that was our trip to see Stephenie Meyer. See you guys. Happy reading.